Sairam students, let's begin with the class 8 political science today. We have already started with our chapter number 6, that is understanding our criminal justice system. Children, today we are doing the fifth part of this chapter, that is going to be the last part. Okay, so today we will be completing with our chapter number 6 of political science. Let's go through the content. We have already completed with the introduction part. Then we have learned what is the role of the police in investigating a crime. Then we have learned about the DK Basu's guidelines, right? Then you learned about the first information report, that is FIR. In our last session, we learned about the role of the public prosecutor as well as the role of the judge, right? So what did we see in the role of the public prosecutor? We saw that the public prosecutor, the criminal offense is regarded as a public wrong, right? So the public prosecutor represents the interest of the state. Okay, the role of the prosecutor begins once the police has conducted or police has completed with the investigation as well as filing the charge sheet in the court, right? Then we have seen the prosecutor must conduct the prosecution on behalf of the state. As an officer of the court, it is his or her duty to act impartially, right? And then present the full and the material facts. That is going to be very helpful for the judge to solve the case. That will be considered as the witnesses and evidences in that particular case. Okay, so it should be the work of the public prosecutor. Then we saw the role of the judge also. Even judge plays a very important role, right? Judge is like an umpire we have seen in a game, right? The judge decides whether the accused person is guilty or innocent. On what basis? On the basis of the evidences and the witnesses that has been presented by the prosecution and the defense. Okay, so judge has to hear everyone first. Judge has to hear the public prosecutor also as well as the defense lawyer. Then the judge decides about whether the accused person is guilty or innocent, right? On the basis of that, and that too in accordance with the law, as per the law, right? Then he may send the person to jail or impose a fine or both. Depends on the law that has been prescribed, depending on what the law prescribes there, right? This is what we have seen, the important role of the judge. Now children, the last topic, that is what is a fair trial. We are going to see this topic in this session. So let's begin with that. Now what is a fair trial? Now in this, let us for a moment we have to imagine that what might have happened if the judge decided to try Shanti's case. Shanti's case means the fictional case that you have studied in this chapter. If the judge decided to try Shanti's case very differently, then what would have happened in that situation? What if the court did not give a copy of the charge sheet and the statements of witnesses to Shanti? See, if Shanti would have not got the statements, a copy of the charge sheet and the statements of the witnesses, then she will not be knowing anything about the case for what she has been arrested and what is the reason, or like exactly what are the charges that has been imposed on her, correct? What if he means the judge here, okay? What if the judge have held the trial in a secret location where neither Shanti nor Sushil were present? Like, if the judge would have held the trial, if the judge would have heard the witnesses and he have seen the evidences in the secret location where even the Shanti and Sushil, they both would have been absent, like they were not present there, then what would have happened in that case? So Shanti will never be able to fight for her defense, right? For her defend. In that case, it would have been fair. It would have been unfair to her then. Then what if he did not give Shanti's lawyer? See, Shanti was not capable of hiring a lawyer, right? This is what we have seen in the fictional case. So it is the government on their expense has to give the lawyer, defense lawyer, to the accused person who has been arrested who has been put up in the jail, right? So Shanti's lawyer, Advocate Roy, if Advocate Roy doesn't have enough time to question the witnesses of the prosecution means the opposite one, that is a Mr. and Mrs. Shinde. such as Mrs. Shinde, and instead had already decided that Shanti was guilty. Then what would have happened if, without listening, without giving time to advocate Kamla Roy to listen to the witnesses, definitely the case would have been totally opposite in that way, right? So if this would have happened, then it would be a case of an unfair trial, right? Actually, it had not happened like this, but we are talking about the possible situation which would have taken place in the case of Shanti, right? So if this would have happened, then it would have been unfair trial. Unfair means that is not just, that is a injustice would have been done to the Shanti, right? In the case of that, so that would have been unfair trial. Okay, so what is to be done for a trial to be fair? This is because, see, for a trial to be fair, several different procedures have to be observed. It is not a easy process to have a fair trial, right? Because unless and until, see, if that accused person has not got that opportunity, if that accused person doesn't get that defense lawyer, so everything is going to be unfair to her. So just has to simply uh, give the result punishment to that accused person only, without listening to the evidences and anything, right? But then, to have a fair trial, for a trial to be fair, several different procedures have to be observed. Now let's move to that procedure. What procedure is to be observed in that way? In Article 21 of the Constitution, that guarantees the right to life, it states that a person's life or liberty can be taken away only by following a reasonable and just legal procedure. See, as per the Article 21 that has been given in the Indian Constitution, it guarantees the right to life to each and every person. So, a person's life or liberty can be taken away only by following a certain procedure, legal procedure. Okay. And even it states that a fair trial ensures that Article 21 of the Constitution is upheld. Now let us now learn to Shanti's case as described in the story and identify the essential elements of a fair trial. What are the essential elements that are required in a fair trial? See, firstly, Shanti was given a copy of the charge sheet and all other evidence that the prosecution presented against her, right? Even Shanti was aware about that charges that has been put up on her, right? And all other evidences also that the prosecution presented against her. Then what was done the next? Shanti was charged with the offense of theft that was defined as a crime in the law, correct? The trial was held in an open court in public view. It was not done in the secret location, but it was done in an open court. Okay, the proceedings were in front of the public here, right? So her brother Sushil, they all could attend the court hearings, right? They were present at that time. So that is also one of the important element of the fair trial. Now then, what was done? The trial was held in the presence of the accused, right? It means Shanti was present there. Shanti was defended by a lawyer. Who was a lawyer? Kamla Roy, right? So Shanti's lawyer, Advocate Roy, that is Kamla Roy, was given an opportunity. What opportunity was given to her? To cross-examine. It is like cross-examine all the prosecution witnesses. Now, what is the meaning of cross-examine? See, in the context of this chapter, children, this refers to the questioning of a witness who has already been examined. Like Shanti's defense lawyer has to ask the questions to the witnesses who has already been examined by the prosecutor. Okay, but now the defense lawyer of Shanti will also get the opportunity to ask some questions if she wants, he or she wants. So by the opposing side, in order to determine the veracity of his or her testimony. Okay, so see, as per the public prosecutor's point of view must be different to ask the questions, whereas the defense lawyer will ask some questions in relation to the Shanti, so that the Shanti can be saved in that case, right? So the defense lawyer get that opportunity to cross-examine the prosecution witnesses. That is also one of the important element of fair trial. Then, although the police filed a case of theft against Shanti, the judge assumed her to be innocent, right? See, judge did not, it was the responsibility of the prosecution to prove beyond reasonable doubt that Shanti was guilty. Correct. Public prosecutor was it was the responsibility of that public prosecutor to prove that the Shanti is guilty. Shanti was guilty. But in this case, we have seen the prosecution failed to do so, right? See, prosecution failed. That is the reason judge gave the decision as the decided the matter. The judge took the fair trial, okay, and judge decided that the Shanti is not at all accused and the Shanti was released from the jail, right? But in that case, the judge decided the matter only on the basis of evidence before the court. Correct. It is very much important that the judge has to decide on the basis of the evidence only. See, the judge did not jump to the conclusion. What conclusion? That Shanti was a thief just because she was a poor maid servant. No. Whereas we can say the judge remained impartial. Correct? Judge tried to understand, tried to hear all the witnesses and he saw all the evidences. Then only he came to the conclusion of that case, right? So a judge has to be impartial in that way. It is not like if a person is poor that simply a poor person will be hanged for the guilty for the things that that person has not done. It is not like that, okay? So in this case we can say it has been the fair trial because the judge heard the hearings of each and every person and even he saw the evidences. Then the judge remained impartial, and since the evidence showed that some young man and not Shanti was the thief, so Shanti was set free there, right? So in this Shanti's case, we can finally, the justice was done to her, right? We can say very well because she was given a fair trial. Okay, so I hope you understood the meaning of fair trial, the procedure that you have seen in the Shanti's case. That is the meaning of the fair trial. So I hope you understood the meaning of fair trial very well. Now for a trial to be fair, different persons have different role to play, right? This is what you have learned in this chapter, the main 4 key players, right? I hope you all remembered it very well. What was that? We have seen the role of the judge. The role of the judge as a very important person. What are the proceedings that the judge has to do in this, right? Then we saw the role of the public prosecutor. Public prosecutor has to show the evidences and the witnesses against the accused person, right? Then we learnt about the role of the defense lawyer. That is our advocate, that Kamla Roy, right? She tried to defend Shanti and she tried to show the evidences and witnesses in her in defending her, right? Then the last we saw the role of the police also, right? The role of the police actually it comes first because unless and until the FIR has not been registered by the police, the investigation doesn't proceed. Okay, so simply children, it is just to make you understand we have learned the role of 4 important key players in this chapter, that were the judge, the public prosecutor, the defense lawyer and the police. So now the constitution and the law had stated that all of these persons we have discussed in this chapter right now, right, carry out their roles in a proper manner, right? Everybody has their importance in their own place. So what this means is that they all need to work for what? To ensure that every citizen, irrespective of their class, caste, gender, religious and ideological backgrounds, gets a fair trial when accused. Correct? This is what ultimately we have seen. If one person also from this main key players doesn't play the proper role, then definitely that is going to affect the case only. Correct? Then it's going to be unfair to the accused person. So it is everyone's all need to work to ensure that every citizen should get a fair trial. So the rule of law, which says that everyone is equal before the law, would not make much sense if every citizen were not guaranteed a fair trial by the constitution. Correct? See, you have learned the rule of law since from last 2-3 chapters. That is, everyone is equal before the law. Everyone is equal before the law. That is the most important thing, rule of law. It will be accomplished only when we have the fair trial that is done by the constitution. Correct? So children, I hope you understood this fair trial very well. Now it's a quiz time for you all children. Come on, be ready for it now. Now Article 21 of the Constitution guarantees right to speech, right to life or right to freedom. What was that? It is right to life. Cross-examining means questioning to a witness or accused. Is it right? True or false? Yes, cross-examining means asking questions, right? True. Now the judge decided the matter only on the basis of dash before the court. What, on the basis of FIR the judge decided? Or on the basis of evidence? Or on the basis of Article 21? On what basis? On the basis of evidence. The trial was held in the absence of the accused. Whether the hearings and everything was done in the absence of the Shanti? No, Shanti was present there in that hearing, right? So the trial was held in the presence of the accused, not in the absence. So answer is false, right? So children, in today's session, you have learnt about the topic, what is a fair trial. I hope you understood the procedure of fair trial very well, how it was done, right? Each and every person played a very important role here, okay? So children, see you in the next session with a new chapter here. Today we have completed the 6th chapter of political science, understanding our criminal justice system, right? So see you in the next session with a new chapter. Till then children, take care.